I got a new nightshirt. Because it's still supposed to be 70, so I'm like, I can't wear those fuzzy moo-moos this week until the cold happens again. So I thought this was kind of good for this week. Trust in the universe, because that's kind of what, it's easy to get kind of caught up in our thoughts. And I thought, especially with us talking with Rachel, who's a health coach and personal trainer, and who I totally want to move near me so she can personally train me, because I think she's awesome. Speaking of the weather, it looks like it's a normal winter day, and yet it's not. I have the doors are all open over there. The loud bird will come talk to us at some point, I'm sure. And it is still bundle week, and it's Friday of bundle week. So I want to say this to you. Well, let me tell you, in case you have not been on social media or in your email for the past 7 days, the bundle is $49 first off for over 120 whole food plant-based courses, books, all kinds of things. Everything's electronic, and it's from plant-based doctors, health coaches, personal trainers. There's a yoga teacher training. There's raw food vegan. I've got 4 classes in under, what did I call it? Kitchen appliance wizardry, I think is what I cleverly came up with. Not so clever, but you get the pun if you know me. And it's not going to be on sale forever. In fact, Sunday night, when it's no longer for sale, you can't email Rachel, you can't email me, you can't email Chef AJ. It is done. None of us have any ability. So if you've been kind of waiting, this weekend is the time to go ahead and get it, okay? And Stephanie's here, and Linda, and Cheryl. And Cheryl says that she's looking forward to this talk. And this is, I don't know how that got so big. It's like the giant. Here we go. There we go. And Cheryl K. Jensen. And Rachel is awesome. So I'm going to let Rachel introduce herself. Also, let it be known that I have personally adopted Rachel from the first time that we talked last week, which seems like we've known each other for years, but yet we have not. So Rachel, I'm going to go to full screen and let it be all you.
All right, awesome. Cool. Thanks, Kahty. Yeah, I feel like I've known you forever too, even though it's just been a week. I tend to move kind of quickly in relationship. So,
That makes me laugh so hard. I think there was a little bit of me that was you when I was 30.
yeah. Yep, that's me. That's what I do here. So I'm Rachel Detroit, and I'm a life coach, a lifestyle coach. And so I help people, you know, reclaim their lifestyle. So we focus in on the 6 aspects of lifestyle medicine: your sleep hygiene, substance intake, social connection, stress management, physical movement, and plant-based nutrition. But also, it's beyond that, what I do with people as a life coach, as a health coach, because a lot of times, right, it's like these are the surface things, right? We all want to eat this way, or we want to work out, or we want to do all these things, but there's so many underlying things that hold us back. And so it's until, it's like this, what I really do in coaching, right? All of those things. And we work on, how do you really love yourself? How do you really show yourself that you can show up, right? Suit up, show up, and show yourself that you can take care of yourself. And a lot of times what that looks like is, how do we eat? Are we feeding ourselves? Are we nourishing ourselves? Are we moving our bodies in the whatever way that works for your body, right? A lot of times, a lot of people are like, well, I don't know about daily physical movement. And I'm like, 5 minutes? Can you do 5 minutes? Is that something that you're willing to do for yourself? Stretching for 5 minutes? And more is like, people understand that it's not this, like, we don't have to join CrossFit. No one's joining CrossFit. It's actually really hard on the bones, and we're not joining CrossFit.
But that's how we feel. Like, I love that you said that, because a lot of times I think about that. So like this morning, I got up early, And like literally there's parts of my counter you don't see because my counter is like longer than I am tall. I'm 5'1.5" and it's 3 feet across. I can't reach all the way across. So I clean this magical part that never gets touched. And you know, at first there's a part of me, oh, I should have gone for a walk. I should have done, but you know what? I stretched, I lifted things, and I don't conserve steps. My kitchen is like ridiculously large and not necessarily a helpful way. Like, it's probably like 10 feet from this to the sink, and I just walk back and forth, walk back and forth. And I love that you're talking about that because my doctor has been talking about that too, because I'll be like, going in there feeling super guilty because it was too cold or it was too hot and I didn't take my walks, and then I feel like, oh, I'm a big loser. But if any of you knew just how much needs to be cleaned up and decluttered in this house, I probably could spend hours a day exercising and getting something done. So I just wanted to put that in because, like, whenever you hear exercise, I think, oh, and I do think CrossFit because my ex-doctor was a CrossFitter. And so she got really strange with us, actually. She actually told me at one point, because I was like, I just want to walk 3 miles a day. And she's like, well, that's not going to do anything. She literally said, just don't even bother. And when I had lost some weight before 2020, and you know how I lost it? Walking 3 miles a day.
Walking is such a beautiful form of exercise. And like, you know, the whole thing about a lot of times we think like we have to join the gym, we have to take these classes. And the truth is like, that's actually mean to yourself. That's like actually being mean to yourself and like reinforcing, like, I'm going to set you up for failure. So a lot of times what I do with people, with clients is like, and I hear I don't want to say it's an excuse about it being cold outside, but as a coach, that's kind of what I do. So I hear it. And what I do with clients who tell me that, I said, can you walk inside? So what I do, I live in Detroit and it's snowing like what feels like yesterday, today, maybe next week. It's in June, it'll snow whenever. And so I literally set a timer on my phone and then I just walk, I pace back and forth in my house. So there's ways, you know, and like it doesn't have to be mean to yourself.
And it's okay and it's both us again. I know you don't get to see this happening, so I like to tell whoever's on, because someone's like, we can't see you, Kahty. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're missing a lot. No, I'm kidding. I'm just like, it's morning, I'm hiding just a wee bit. But it's okay to find something and go, oh, that's an excuse. In the winter, in general, I will walk at any weather unless it's raining. I do not want to leave my house when it's raining. If you lived by me and we were going to have coffee and it's raining, you should know I'm going to say, are you sure you want to go? Let's go tomorrow when it's not like raining, because it's almost self-care. Like, I love being in my house when it's raining. It's cozy. It's like this special moment for me that doesn't happen. But in the summer, it does get too hot for me to be able to go and do that because of just various reasons. So I got a little bike desk thing off of Amazon.
I got one for my mom.
And that's hilarious.
I forced it on my mother. Sounds wonderful. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right, and it is a little disconcerting because I work a lot. So I'm either working, standing up, lifting things, or I am completely sedentary. There is just no in-betweens with work because I'm in the kitchen doing all the things, or I'm sitting down on the computer. And we do have a treadmill, and I have feelings about treadmills, but also I have feelings about being outside and hearing the birds and seeing, like my 3-mile walk, even though I'm just in the suburb, it goes by like a state park entrance. So I can even just walk a few feet in there, just be surrounded by trees, and it's just this beautiful meditative experience. But going back to, it's okay that you saw it as an excuse and called it out, because we all need to see what our barriers and excuses are. People do that with cooking too. But it's really expensive to eat vegan, right? Well, rice and beans, last I heard, even the meat eaters eat them when they're trying to save money, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I'm going to let it go back to you, but I just wanted to say I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you can love yourself and take care of yourself, but you still have to point out, just like if you're really good friends with someone, I would want you to say, I love you, Kahty, and I think you're awesome, and I think that cleaning stuff was great, but I think today that sounds like an excuse. Yesterday it didn't, but today it does.
Right. Yeah. I saw a thing in the comments. It says, "Is Rachel on a medicine ball?" And I just want to say, no, Rachel is just like full of energy and can't sit still and like continues to move all in all these different ways and likes to flip her hat around probably 25 times. So no medicine ball, but that's funny.
That's awesome. And did you
Um,
see, like, Crafty Dragon Knits is here, and I just love that username, Crafty Dragon Knits. It just makes, it's just lovely.
That's funny. Um, yeah, so and I'm thinking a little bit about like, right, so I'm still thinking about the 3 mile walk. I'm thinking about walking. I'm thinking about like, like because moving our body feels so amazing. And a lot of times, like we in 3 mile walk, like, and this is kind of for everybody. I like to, I think in terms of not really the teaspoons that we talked about yesterday, but putting that into play. And it's like, I like to do based off time, right? Instead of, I'm so like I can be really rigid and say, oh, Rachel, you got to do this many miles or you're not. And so sometimes what becomes like more gentle, right? And that's really what I do at Rachel Detroit Coaching is I help people find the gentle approach to their goals, right? It's like this gentle approach. So maybe, right? So 3 miles might take, and not to pick on your 3 miles thing, right? But maybe 5 miles. It might take someone 2 hours, but maybe they only have 30 minutes. So, like creating a space where 30 minutes of exercise is actually a win. It's lovely. It doesn't matter if we hit the 3 miles
I
or five
love
miles or
that.
whatever.
And so, since I'm in the suburbs, like normally, like when I lived in New Orleans or New York or different places, I'd be like, go to the coffee shop or go to this place. Like I'd have some sort of goal. And so my mind, and I'm really good with going the same way. Like for some, so like for me in my mind, even when I'm doing my 3 miles,
I don't hear you, Kahty.
oh, sorry, that was me.
Oh,
Um,
okay. You're
so,
back.
so when I'm like going, I like kind of doing things the same way, and then my brain breaks it up. So like the first stop is the clubhouse for the golf course, and I said it's fancy across the street. And so when I go that way, and then the next part, so that's about a half a mile. About another half a mile is the entrance to the state park. So if I'm not feeling it, I'll just kind of walk around in there. I can even walk like to a little stream that I've actually put on lives before, and I'll be like, here's your daily happy whatever. And then the other third is more uphill. I live in North Carolina, so it's pretty hilly over here. So when I'm getting back to doing things, I can't always do that 3 miles right off the bat again. So I'll be like, Max, our dog, if we just take him to the golf course, he's super happy. If if I start finally going to this other thing, so I do kind of have those little landmarks. That is it exactly a half a mile? Probably not. I've decided it is by some measurement of Kahty. And so I do agree with you. Like sometimes it's better to do it, it's better for me to walk that way for 15 minutes than it is for me to do that when I'm doing it. And I can't do it now, but I would walk it within an hour. So it would only take an hour. I would book it. Cheryl and the dog can't go with me when I go that fast. Like, I'm listening to some RuPaul and I'm just going.
Love it.
So tell us some
Yeah.
more about some ideas. Like if you're not moving now, like I love some of the ideas you had, like walk around the house. Give us some more things that we could do.
Yeah. Um, I really love yoga, right? And a lot of people think like to do yoga, to do stretching, you have to commit 1 whole hour or 1.5 hours, and it has to be some like really rigorous practice that follows all the and the truth is like I point over there because that's where my yoga mat is. The truth is like what you could do is folks can start with 10 minutes, folks can start with 5 minutes. So a lot of the times I give videos to my clients where it's 5 minutes of physical activity. And on YouTube, folks can look things up on YouTube. YouTube is just so wonderful. If you type in on YouTube, low impact, because I'm actually a really big advocate of low impact workouts. I don't like the jumping and it's not good for the body and the joints, like really for anybody. But if you type low impact 5 minute beginner workout, there you go. Like, and you can do it right off of your phone and then do that for a week, 5 minutes for a week. Then next week you look up low impact 10-minute workout. Then you do that. And it bothers me a little bit on YouTube, but if you type senior workout, and it really doesn't matter your age, but for some reason they make them easier. But if you're just getting started, be open to like ignore the title, but look at those senior workouts because they tend to make them low impact. They make them really accessible. So YouTube is a huge tool. Another thing too is like if folks don't have weights, if they don't have equipment, you can look on YouTube as well and just do like you can write no equipment body weight workouts. And it's just, and another thing too is I think it's super important in my coaching practice. It's very important for folks to isolate a dedicated time, right? Whether if it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, like when you dedicate an amount of time to yourself, that's a way like this part life is like continuously showing up for ourselves. It's like the whole world has taught us not to. It's taught us to, this shiny thing and that shiny thing and go, go, go. But as we continuously set this like 5 minutes a day of exercise or 5 minutes a day of for me, I make my bed every single day. Why? Because I don't care what kind of day I have. No matter what, it's going to be made when I get home, and then it's really nice. And that's something I do where I can show myself like, hey, I show up for myself. So this whole concept of like creating something that works for you. Maybe you have a pair of dumbbells and maybe what you do is like arm curls to start, right? Or maybe what you do is like some crunches, but don't go too crazy. Keep your chest facing the sky. We could get all into that good form, but whatever it is, like go start gentle. Like if you haven't done this before, if you're on a break, if you just need to reignite, 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes, and then you start showing yourself, oh, actually, maybe I can do 6 minutes, and now I can do 10 minutes, and then you grow from there. It's,
I think that's awesome, Rachel. And I one of the things.
Oh, we lost you again.
Sorry, I unmute in one place and then I move it to this other one. Thank you. Is what I want to point out to everyone is that you are traveling. So you're pointing over to your yoga mat, but this is a yoga mat you brought with you. So maybe you can address that a little bit for people who travel a lot.
Yeah. When traveling, I always bring my yoga mat, even when I fly, and that makes me feel like maybe it's something I need to like reassess and see if that's really necessary. But I always if I'm driving, I always bring my yoga mat. If I'm driving, I always pack food. Right? So we follow this whole food, plant-based eating, and it can be challenging, to be travel. And I don't want to let myself get hungry. So I always, because that's when I make bad choices, right? If I'm hungry, then I'm just like, I will eat anything that looks at me. And it's like, Rachel, calm down. No food's looking at you. But, it's like, so it's important to pack and be prepared. But the yoga mat always comes. And this place that I I booked that I'm staying in, I intentionally, and of course there's like costs that go with it, and it doesn't work for, every situation, but I made sure that there was a weightlifting room in this facility. I made sure that there's easy access to outside, right? So right over here, there's easy access. I can go on the balcony and I have space to, like, I can do 10 squats. I can do like easy things that don't need, and it's about being prepared, right? And as we are prepared, as we like, if you're prepared for yourself, you keep teaching yourself that, like, oh, I got you, Rach. I got, I can do this. Yeah. So,
Sorry, I was having a coughing fit, or would have asked you another question.
no, that's okay. I was like, do I keep speaking or do I let her cough?
Oh no, I muted myself so no one heard you. Only Rachel was seeing me over here going, ah, I'm dying. Because
Oh,
I have it on you so no one saw. You're seeing behind the scenes, people, all the things that go on. Joanne says, I have a travel mat, extremely lightweight and easy to pack. And I think those are one of the ones that folds up. I'm such a, I have all these cushy things that I use to put my knees on and to do that. So I like having the extra thick mats. And Stephanie was saying, I love the approach suggestions that you're giving, Rachel. And Crafty Dragon Knits was saying you can even find walking video workouts on YouTube, and they're great when you can't or don't want to walk outside. One of the things Cheryl does is, and I keep meaning to do this on Halloween because she has some program with the treadmill, and so they can take you on a ghost tour or a ghost hunt.
ooh.
Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, I need to do that. Amanda says, Kahty is so funny, really enjoying this live. See, you just have to be real, right? And so,
That's it.
Rachel, can you go back and slowly talk about the number of principles and what they are? Because I'm still waking up, so I missed some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't threaten me with a good time. Yes. These are my favorite. All right.
Oh, you
So,
made me snort. Did you hear that? I
yep.
snorted.
Yeah, that. So the six aspects, and the reason I focus on these six aspects is, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. And so then I went research crazy, right? So everything I do extreme and big. I was like, I gotta find out, how do I do this? And so the research points to, right, there's an overwhelming and growing body of evidence that shows, regardless of whether you have a disease or if you do not, right, using these six aspects of lifestyle medicine, you reduce and reverse, mitigate chronic disease, chronic illness, you overall feel better. So jumping into them, the first one, let's talk about, sure, let's, I just said sure to myself. I'm like, sure, let's do that one.
It's morning. It's okay. People are forgiving.
Right. So I'm my best friend. I'm just like, sure, Rachel, we can talk about sleep first. Let's talk about sleep. So the first one is your sleep hygiene, right? So if we want to do big things, if we want to have energy to do this, or that, however, we need to sleep. If we want to give our body an opportunity to heal whatever is going on, whatever insanity and shenanigans are going on inside, we need to sleep well. And so here's some tips that folks can implement now, for free. And so what it is to regulate your sleep, right? You want to get on that circadian rhythm. You want melatonin production to happen appropriately to prevent breast cancer and a plethora of other things, reduce inflammation, etc. But so the trick is you go to sleep every single day at the same time. And you wake up every single day at the same time, and give yourself an 8-hour window between those times, right? And so by doing that, you program your body to have this constant rhythm, and your body heals more. And so, okay, how do we get to sleep at the same time every day? Well, we add in, right, slowly but surely, we add in a meditation practice, right? So folks will say, oh, I don't know how to meditate, I can't meditate. To me, that's a limiting belief. That's something that your brain is telling you that you can't do, because all it takes is sitting down and closing your eyes and breathing. So if folks can't do that, like, you might need to go to the doctor. I don't know. Just kidding. But everybody can do that. So
What
to get this good,
can
yeah.
I was just going to offer a couple of suggestions. So taking a walk even in the evening after dinner can sometimes calm my mind. Like, I'm not a great sit down and meditate person, but another thing that I love to do when my life is super stressful, I take a bath, a warm bath every night before I go to bed. Because you've got the warm water, you're quiet, the TV isn't on, you're not talking, maybe you're reading, maybe you're not. But I think those are some kind of easy entry levels too.
Mm, hmm. That's, yeah, like a walking meditation is totally a thing. It really is, and what it really means, right? And I see in the chat says it's not the easiest thing when you're 70, perhaps the meditation. And what it is, meditation, it's about being present in your body. So just like you said, if walking or taking a nice bath and breathing and slowing the mind down, right? That's the point of meditation. So creating like a ritual around bedtime to put yourself to sleep. And another thing to optimize your sleep, to get the best quality of sleep, you want to sleep in a room that's between the temperatures of 60 to 63 degrees. A cool room, I know, and dark.
I'm only laughing because I'm like, 63, that's like a little warm for me. But like Cheryl always thinks I'm gonna kill. She's like, it's 56 in the house. You're gonna make the animals sick. And I'm like, we have a super furry cat and a super furry dog that sleeps under the covers with us. No one's dying at 56 degrees. But
Yeah.
yeah, that probably is for normal people. And one day you'll be of that special time that ladies get to, and you're just like, it then hot and cold become very how can I put, it's kind of measured differently.
Mm.
Because it's like your body is internally combusting. So then what is it, Cheryl's mom said she had the heat. Oh, we turned the heat to 73.
Oh God,
And
why
I
would
thought,
anyone ever do that?
it made me start sweating right then and there. Oh, this is Stephanie says, what about using a heater blanket in the winter if you live in a snow state? That can be kind of cozy, a heater blanket or a weighted blanket. What do you think, Rachel?
Yeah, and the truth is, right, like the data says, oh, this, and that, but the truth is, if you're getting good quality sleep, if the heated blanket makes you feel good, if you're getting good quality sleep, if you're sleeping through the night, then go for it, right? If you can sleep with, if I slept through a heated blanket, I would wake up and be sweaty, but every body is different. So if that works for you, if you're able to get good quality sleep through the night, I say go for it.
I hear at
Yeah.
some point, I am not at this point, that I will be cold all the time, and I'm super excited for that time. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've derailed you enough. So, number two.
All right. So let's do substance intake, right? So substance intake, and when I say substance intake, I'm talking about what are you using to escape. So it doesn't always have to be alcohol. It doesn't have to be drugs. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's TV. Maybe it's the cell phone. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's sex. Whatever it is, what are you doing to escape, to avoid? So we hone in on that aspect, because when we're really immersed in these substances, we're not living in our life. We're not living in reality. We're looking for the next hit. And so we work on that, and we want to be as substance free as possible, right? So we have our substance intake, and then we have our stress management. Okay, so stress management is, it's honoring the concept that there is a healthy amount of stress. There actually is, because if we have no stress, then we don't do anything. Then we're just right. But if we have this healthy amount of stress, we're eager, we want to meet our goals, we want to do these things. But it's like once we hit that, if we go over this threshold, then we start we're not as effective, we're not as efficient. And so I advocate folks to be open to renegotiate commitments, renegotiate different things in your life that cause you stress. If it causes you stress, right, it's really important to take time to reassess the value of it in your life and renegotiate these commitments. And a lot of folks are so worried, what are they going to think? What does this mean about me? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
I totally get that because, I think also, especially since COVID in 2020, it changes the way things are, and so those of us that are introverts, I'm kind of an ambivert because I can be extroverted and talk to people and I enjoy it, but it doesn't feed my energy. It actually depletes my energy. So I have to take time. And so that's why I say it's introvertedness. But because of that, it's gotten very cozy. Thank you very much. So cozy. And it is harder to make those commitments and keep them. And also, one of the things that Cheryl and I are realizing, some things that served us before then and made us happy. Like we used to love going to Disney World and doing things like that. We went to Disney World last year and it was like, this is just really stressful now. This is not as much fun. Like we splurged and we stayed in this great hotel where we could see the animals and the animal, so I mean like giraffes and stuff were outside our door. It was awesome. We could go on the balcony and see them. So we chose to spend more time in our room instead of going to the park an extra day that we thought we might have done. We gave ourselves some wiggle room. Whereas before it is it's a little more me, would plan up all the things because I have to get my reservations at the restaurants I want to go to. I have to have all these, things planned out. But we walked around more and we had these beautiful grounds to walk around and do that. So I love that idea because some of the things don't serve me now that served me 5 years ago. And to re-look at that, and also I love your general aesthetic about caring for yourself and being gentle with yourself and forgiving. And I think that when I think we were, was it in this conversation or before? I had said if it was raining and Rachel lived near me, that if it's raining, I'll love you and I'll be like, can we just do this another day? Because when it's raining, I want to be cozy in my house. That is my happiest spot. And so going ahead and having those conversations with friends and family members to say, I love you. I don't want to drive an hour in the rain and neither do you. So why don't we meet another day? So I think that's great.
Right. And another thing about for me, I'll just share my personal experience. I have just taken on so many commitments at one point. I mean, I just a commitment machine. I can do this and I can do this. And then by the end of it, and I want to do this. I have my business and, I'm just a commitment machine. And then I realized this isn't sustainable. Right. And so then unfortunately I had to renegotiate a plethora of commitments. And the truth is that's okay, right? We renegotiate, we see how we can make it up. But then from there, I stopped making new commitments. I said, in this moment of my life, it's not and that's really caring for myself, right? Mm-hmm. It's also caring for the other people. But in terms of me, that really removes a big stressor. And I put it in my brain. I'm not going to make big commitments right now in my life, so that's another way that folks can really show up for themselves.
I love that too, because even if you just look at this bundle week as a contributor, so if vegan Christmas for everyone else, but we are working really, really hard, right? I have 3 lives today. That's why anything before 11, I'm doing in my jammies. I'm like, because it makes it more sustainable for me, and I think it makes it kind of fun because I'm like, oh, I'm going live in my jammies, and I don't know what that's about, and I don't need. Yeah, I'm not going to pay good money to find out. But it's kind of, maybe it's breaking the rules, a little bit, doing something a little bit different. But I made a commitment to myself before this that I was not going to set any lofty goals this week. Now, yesterday I had some extra energy and I filmed 2 videos for next month, and I'm super excited about that. But you know what? Today, if I don't do anything but these 3 lives, that's good enough. And I think it's easy for us to beat up on ourselves, to go, well, I really should be able to do more. And I really, that I just did 2 lives yesterday. So why didn't I get more done, right? Like, you can be in this crisis mode and still be beating yourself up instead of making that lovely, warm space that you would make for someone else.
Right. And for me, my thing is like what I do is when I feel that way, it's like I freeze. There's so many things on my plate. There's so many things I want to do. I have all these, I'm so ambitious. I'm just a goal machine. I just want to do it, and I just, I want to life coach myself, and but then I freeze. I sit there and freeze, and then it piles and it piles and so I'm learning is like, stop being so ambitious, Rachel. Like, calm down. Like, it's about being easy.
I agree. And I think while it's good to have goals and that helps move us forward, like you talked about to begin with, it's also really important to realize there is no goal that you can do perfectly. I think maybe it's Americans, maybe it's women all around the world. We tend to like flip over to, I'm going to do this perfectly. This is going to be this way. And we have an idea of how it's going to be. And you know what? It's okay to do B and B plus work and turn it in. It's perfectly
Right.
fine. It's okay for me to do, I don't know, what were you doing? You were doing some sort of sit-up-y thing or lift thing, and I'm like,
Crunches.
crunches, thank you. I only saw the top of your body, so it didn't like stick in, but like, maybe I was going to do 5, but maybe today I'm just doing 2.5 and going, you know what?
Yeah.
I feel a twinge in my back because I am almost 58 years old. I have to be careful of that. So one of the things that at my age I'm trying to be careful of is to be aware of when my body's saying, hey, don't empty the dishwasher anymore, or don't clean out that cabinet today, right? So I think sometimes these goals we just push beyond what our physical, mental, and spiritual capabilities are. So I love what you're saying.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to keep going on the 6 aspects of lifestyle. So what we were just saying, our stress management, right? It's really all in our hands. We get to choose what we focus on. So our stress management. Next, we have our social connection, right? So we did daily physical movement, stress management, substance intake, and now we have social connection. So even like post COVID, right? It's almost been like normalized for us to not be social, not go out, not have friends. And this is something that I'm currently addressing in my life. Is like I've created this life where everything goes without like in-person contact other than if it's work, right? So I have like in-person working gigs. But it's so important, right? This piece of social connections, having supportive social connections in your life and removing, right? This also helps with stress management. It's like being confident enough and trusting enough to remove the social connections that don't bring you joy, pleasure, happiness, that take away from the quality of your life, that drain you. So really looking at your social connections, this is me separating them and separating like what is helpful, what isn't, where can I flex to be with these people? Can I flex to be with these people who are maybe challenging? And if we're not able to flex and show up in a good way with these people, then stepping back and just taking ownership and not showing up. It's like, so your social connections, building important. It's important to have social connections, a support group. So, and folks can do that too. Like, there's so many different ways you can do Meetup. Like, it's a website, Meetup. You can find different groups. You could start going to like a religious place. If you're into religion, you can join a knitting club, a book club, whatever feels good. So social connections. We have plant-based nutrition, right? So whole food, plant-based nutrition. And when I coach, I like to do whole food, plant-based with flex, right? Because when folks enter this realm, it can be tough to just out of nowhere go, no processed foods, no dairy, no this, no cheese, nothing, and just changing immediately, right? So for me, my stakes were high. I switched real quick. Someone said, you have this degenerative disease. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just eat air. Like, whatever you need me to do, I got it. Just kidding. But it can be a gentle process, right? So your nutrition, making sure it's as close to whole foods as possible. And then I kind of went out of order. I usually do all the S's and then the nutrition and physical movement. So I did social connection, stress management, substance intake, sleep hygiene, plant-based nutrition, and physical movement. I think we did them all.
That's awesome. The only thing I want to mention is there are plant pods that are all over the country too, and that's through like Dr. Colin Campbell, because Kim Campbell lives 20 minutes away. So they have plant pods. So they have, over COVID, they had them on virtually, and now they've had a mix of virtual and in-person meetings, but they have like monthly potlucks, and you can meet other people who are trying to eat your way. And what's kind of cool is you go to this potluck, and unless you have allergies, you can eat everything because it's all made without oil and it's all vegan.
Wow. And it's called Plant Pods.
Yeah. And if anybody, I don't have the, if you, there's a Chapel Hill plant pod that Elizabeth runs, and I've done a class for her pod a couple of times, and they're lovely. But anyhow, just if you're looking for something to do near you, and some people can't go out, and I think that 2020 did the most wonderful thing as far as having these like really active online communities. I feel like my community is super active, and like you can see in the comments, everybody says hey to each other and they're chatting, and I love it because we all get to see each other, even though CJ is in Scotland and Joanne is in Florida, right? And Chef Julia is in Texas. We all still get to kind of come together and be together. It is, I do agree, reluctantly, but really do agree that we do have to be in person with some people sometimes. And I'm doing that more, but like, I've always been the kind of person that would invite everybody to my house. So I've always been a little bit like, I like my space, But thank you for going into more detail on all those, because I think they're so important. And if you look over there, you can see racheldetroit.com so that you can contact her if you want to work with her, because all I can say is I just love her attitude. And seriously, you're just awesome. And tell us a little bit about what's in the bundle that you've done as well. And then I'll let you go because I know you're driving home today.
Yeah. So I've contributed there. It's an ebook with 36 whole food, plant-based, oil-free recipes. But these recipes are so simple because I'm simple, right? I'm just like a simple, and the most complex ingredient, right, is nutritional yeast, and that's only in a few recipes. So they're really accessible ingredients, really accessible things that you can make. So that's one contribution. And then another one is an ebook that highlights the 6 aspects of lifestyle medicine. So these 6 aspects that I said, and it talks about different things, different ways that you can implement these 6 aspects, like now, for free, no cost. So that's what I added in the bundle. And these 6 aspects of lifestyle, if folks really want to see sustainable change in their life, I would really recommend, like, you could even look it up. If you don't want to buy the bundle, you can look up, like, you can Google 6 aspects of lifestyle medicine, and you can start immediately.
That's awesome. And it's plantpurecommunities.com. Someone asked, I would love to know if there's a lookup. So it's plantpurecommunities.com. If you want to kind of find your own plant pod, you could form a plant pod as well. But thank you so much, Rachel. It's been just more than my pleasure to get to meet you and get to hang out with you twice this week and a couple times last week. I'm like, woohoo. And Stephanie's saying, how can we connect with Rachel? She is on social media. If you look, depending on if you're on YouTube, so if you look down, and you might have to click the little more button. It's got links to all her social media, but you can go, if you go to racheldetroit.com, you can get links to her social media. She does have a YouTube. If you're following me on YouTube, I'm going to share our interview from yesterday in the community too. So you'll see that. Mary Jean says, I can't wait to find it in the e-bundle, and thanks to both of us for such a great opportunity. And I think that's, yeah. Do you have any last words?
I just really appreciate you as a human, and meeting you and becoming your friend. I appreciate being on your channel. And then, like, just to dish out my social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Rachel Detroit Coaching, and the website's racheldetroit.com. And I'm just so grateful to have your friendship and to meet you. And that's all I got. Get the bundle.
It's awesome. And I'm going to talk to you after the bundle is done and see, because there's another person I'm going to see if they will come on once a month. If maybe you'd want to come on once a month and or maybe do little simple exercises or whatever you want. So let's talk about that and see if it's something you're interested in. Because I'm already getting, Lydia says, Rachel's great. I really enjoyed this. And Amanda's thanking me for having you on. And I think the thing is that you have such a good attitude about self-love and kindness. And I think some of us have found that lacking in the exercise world especially. So I think it's just really awesome, and I think it's a really special attitude you have. And what I want you to do is I want you to tell me on Facebook that you got home safely after you drive home.
Thank you, Mom. I love it. I will absolutely do that. It'll be around probably 6 p.m. this evening, so that's when you can hear from me.
All right, I'll be watching for you.
Yeah, I love
Thank
that.
you so much, and big, giant hugs for me and Cheryl, and we'll talk really soon.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye, everybody.